something funny about this country and the obsession with my country. It's so weird. Let me explain a little bit. So I'm 100% Dane. Let me find my passport. Here's my passport. It's hard to tell though, but it says Denmark here. It's been in my pocket for 9 years, so it's really ran out. I need a new one in the end of the year. The first time I saw anything about it was I was walking this little alley right where I'm living, and there was this sign saying Kelly from Denmark, or Premium Denmark, I think it says. And I was like, I never seen that sign before, and it didn't say what it was. So I had to look it up, and it's a beer. And I don't know why I hadn't seen it before, because it's all over the city. Like signs and at bars, this beer, which claims to be Danish. So I investigated a little bit into it, because it says 100% Denmark on it. So I should know about that beer. But I don't. And there's a reason for that, because it's a Korean beer. It says that it have malts from Jutland, so the part of Denmark where I was born. I'm not even sure if that's true or not. And the funny thing about this is, it says Denmark so many places on the can. I will show you in a bit. And I have no clue how this can be legal, but apparently it is. And I don't understand the hype about Denmark, and that's a thing not only here but around the world when I meet people. And I am not the best ambassador for Denmark at all, because in the end of the day, let's face it, I'm not a big fan of the country in many ways. There's a reason why I left. And that is a whole video on its own, which I think we're gonna do at some point where we're visiting Denmark next year or something like that. It's always been like that. When you travel around, you say where you're from. I'm from Denmark. And there's one thing they always say, oh, you're one of the happiest country in the world. Oh, you're the happiest country in the world. And I kind of always laugh a little bit and say, yeah, but it's not measured on smiles. It's more measured in security. It's windy. It was sunny right before I started this. Like a good example about how the promotion of Denmark and being the happiest in the world, how effective it is. I was in the middle of nowhere in Thailand talking to a guy in his 70s. He only speaks Thai. He haven't been out of the country ever, but he knew about Denmark because he watched in a documentary that was along the happiest in the world. And if it's on smiles, it's not at all the happiest. Far from, I would say. And like that is one of the reasons why I left, because I was just tired of the Danish mentality, especially in the capital where people are not that happy there. And I actually worked with a girl at some point that came from abroad, that came to Denmark, and she was so disappointed in the country because she thought she would get happy and people were happy there. One, she didn't get happy. Two, she realized that it was a lie, that people are not happy in terms of being smiley and friendly and like everything is great, because it's not. Everything I say about Denmark, just take it with a gram of salt, right? Because I'm not that positive about the country. It's not that bad as it might sound. No. She ended up moving out of the country again, very disappointed about her experience living there for 2 or 3 years. Got a bite from an ant and a little bit of sunlight again. And I guess that is one of the obsessions this country have with my country, and it's also other European countries, but I've seen a lot of Danish thing. There was also a milk I've seen where I looked at it, it's like this has had nothing to do with Denmark, and I looked it up and it's not, it's a Korean thing, but it says Denmark on it since 1995 or something like that, 1985. Then there's the other side of it. Like there are Danish beers in the country. Carlsberg is here, and you can buy Carlsberg in 7-Eleven. That is a Danish beer, a true Danish beer. But the whole thing about trying to make something look like what it isn't, I really don't understand it. Either you find a brewery in Denmark, start to import the beers from there, or just make a Korean beer, be proud of that being a Korean beer. I read there's also one that claims to be Australian, but it's not. But I think they backed it a little bit out of the Australian part again. I walked past a sign the other day with that beer, and it didn't say anything about Australia on it. The Kelly one, that really branded to be Danish, and it's all over. It's relatively new. It's only a year or two old, but the branding is so heavy. Like, it's everywhere I've been. There will be a poster or a sign, or you can buy the beer. It is so strange to me to try to make something be something without it actually being what it is. But there are Danish brands here, Royal Copenhagen, where they make some mugs and plates and stuff like that. I've seen that here. I've seen some furniture manufacturers here. And then I've seen more of these where it's just like a Danish flag. And then I have no clue about this company. And I don't know every company in Denmark, but I'm pretty sure every company that will be here, I either heard of or seen the logo or something before. So I know a lot of these are not Danish. And it's so funny to try to make something look like something else than it actually is, to try to sell it and convince it. And that's like, at some point the lie will come out, and then what? Or is everybody aware that this is just like a branding thing and this has nothing to do with what it really is? I had the beer because I needed to try it. For an industry beer, it's actually not that bad. It's okay. If I was out having a party or something like that, I would gladly drink it all night. I would prefer, though, a craft Danish beer from Amager Brewhouse, which is my favorite brand ever when you're talking about beer. They are world-class beers, but it is craft beer, so it's mainly in the Europe and mainly in the north of Europe. And if you want to really try it fresh, go to one of their tap rooms. I think they still have 2 in Copenhagen. So when you make an okay beer, why don't you just like market as what it is? A very proud made industry beer from Korea that will be very good with your Korean barbecue or something like that. Let me go to the 7-Eleven and buy one of the cans so we can see what it says on it. Let's go. And this, by the way, this is the the river. What is it called? River? It's not a lake. It's more like a river. And it goes through the most of the city. I've actually been walking almost all the way to the end of this. No, I haven't. That's not true at all. I walked for 2 hours that way, and it kept on going. Like it's so long, this, and it's super beautiful at night, and sometimes in daytime there'll also be musicians around. There's also people running here. I also been running here, but I feel like it's a little bit too crowded mostly to be able to run. So I actually started just running on the street, and there are routes around here where you can run like relatively undisturbed without any red lights and with a lot of space. Now that's a different story. Let's go and find a beer. I was just about to remove the camera, and then look at this guy showed up. It is fishing or hunting, I guess. It missed again. So beautiful. Look, here's the sign I'm talking about. It's not the one I saw that day, but it's the same. And it actually says Premium, Denmark Premium, and from Denmark, so I was right on both of them. But I was just looking at this one, Danish flag. It says Denmark 2 times on it. I was like, what is this? Oh, let's go and find that bottle. If I remember correctly, this one is the one that claimed to be Australian at some point. And it looks like, oh, it says actually Australia there. And there it says AGM. And on this one here, it says from AGT. I guess they have no clue what it is. So here's that milk. It says Denmark on it. Denmark since '85. And there's a little Danish flag here. But the company there, it's not a Danish company. This is a Chinese company or something like that. I can't remember exactly actually. But it's so weird. And when I was a kid, actually this drawing here was kind of what it was on the milk bottles back then. So weird. No, let's find the beer. So this is the Carlsberg, the actual Carlsberg beer. Danish Pilsner. That is, in fact, the Danish one. Here the Australian one. And I guess the poster we saw before was always said Australia because it doesn't say Australia anywhere on the can now. There we have it. The Dane. It's so weird. Let's buy it so we can expect it properly. So here we have it. The Danish. It says 100% Denmark on it. Premium malt. Down here, Nordic Arctic Ocean. Malt from Jutland, the part of Denmark I was born in. So what I wanted to do actually was to see what they put in the beer and see if it says Denmark on any of the ingredients. I don't know how the rules are here in Korea, but I guess if you write it here, it actually have to be true. Little funny thing is, it actually says the Korean company that makes the beer as the first thing on the list what's in it, which is kind of funny. I didn't expect that. So down here on malt, it says 100% from Denmark, but it's like in brackets. Is that a way to cheat the system when it's in brackets? Or is it actually true that the malt is from Denmark? I've been trying to look at it. I've read an article and there was none of that that specified that it was actually true that the malt is from Denmark. However, it's a Korean beer and maybe the malt is Danish. And I guess if the malt is Danish, they're not 100% lying, but it's not 100% Danish beer at all. And then it says that the hops are German/the US. It's such a funny thing, and on my Instagram I actually been like posting a lot about this beer, both the article, which I will link in the description, and also like signs and posters around the city about this, because I think it's just hilarious to do it like this, like pretend to be something that you're not, like, and then this much, like with the flag. And of course it drew the attention for me because I'm Danish. But if it's some other country that would do the same too, I would be just as obsessed about how funny it is to do it that way. What this video is about the fun thing that Korea and also other places in the world, but particularly here because of the products, have this hype around Danish things. And I walked past them all the other day and walked around in there, and there was a lot of the real Danish things, and it's really branded as real Danish things, which is amazing for that little country. I wish Denmark all the best. All the best. It's just not for me. Okay, I think now I'm just talking and talking and talking. It's so funny. And try it when you're here. Like I said earlier, it's not that bad. It is not that bad. Like for an industry brewed beer, it's okay. Thank you for watching this little fun fact video here, and then see you in the next one, where we might gonna find a beer from somewhere else.